You're listening to Jim and Mike Talk. Recording at the, did you say?
7
Studios in beautiful Washington, New Jersey. And now, here are your hosts, Jim and Mike.
Hey everybody, this is Jim.
And this is Mike.
We are now on show number 12.
Great. A dozen shows.
And our featured segment today is an interview with Claudio
Sterilio
from Anything Box.
And after that, we've got an interview with local musician Justin Skyyler. But how you doing there, Jim?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Okay. All right.
You know, I got something that's been on my mind. You know, we had a friend named Al.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't pass away or anything, but
No.
he decided to all of a sudden not be our friend anymore.
Right. It's a mystery.
You know, over the years, I've developed some intense body odor. And yeah, so I don't know. But I was thinking the other day, a couple years ago, we had this chili cook-off. And my chili, my wife laughs, but I say it's my world famous chili.
Yeah.
And apparently, because we had a chili cook-off, and mine, it either came in first or second, and my friend Al,
He was there.
yeah, his chili did not make it into the mix of the first, second, or third. And
Okay. Wow. You think this is the reason for the
right after
break?
that, things got a little weird. So yeah, so I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
I think I finally found the reason. So
So what are you drinking, Jim?
I'm still drinking my coffee from this morning.
Okay.
I think it's cold.
It's room temperature.
Yeah.
I'm drinking blackberry lemonade, a Turkey Hill.
This is a chock full of nuts. And on the
So is there really any nuts?
it actually says on the can.
No, I know that,
there's
but
no nuts.
it says that there's no nuts.
Yeah. So
Okay. Very good.
So we're going to start off. We're going to mix it up this time because we usually do top 10 from 1970. But this time we're going to do it from September 21st, 1985.
So instead of 50 years ago, we're going back 35 years.
Still 35 years. And Mike, why don't you start off?
All right, we're going to go 10 through 1. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So number 10, we have Dress You Up by Madonna. This is from her Like a Virgin album in 1984. And my brother went to this show.
Oh.
Knowing my brother, he does not remember any of that.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
He would go see Madonna.
Yeah, So him and his friends, they were into clubbing and stuff. They were into dance, and this was definitely at the clubs and such. So there you have "Dress You Up" in My Love.
Now I have a little information.
Oh, yeah?
This was written by 2 New Jersey housewives.
Wow, who would have guessed?
And they sent the song to the record company, and soon after, I don't know how soon after, they got a phone call, and it was Madonna herself.
So cool.
And I did find one of them on Facebook. I'm pretty sure it's her.
Yeah.
But they weren't famous. They wrote a couple songs, I guess, but this one happened to hit the charts.
I think people like Madonna, there's a lot of artists like that who don't write their own material, but gather it. Yeah, right. Number 9, we have "Oh Sheila" by Ready for the World. And this is another, nightclub dance song, just like Madonna's, It's very similar to Prince's 1999. It's just a little bit fewer beats per minute. It's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But if you would speed it up just a little bit, 10 to 15 beats per minute, you would be that same rhythm and beat as 1999.
When it came out, I think a lot of people thought it was Prince singing.
Yeah. A little-known band, Ready for the World. Coming in at number 8, "Power of Love," possibly the most overplayed song of the entire 80s.
Yeah.
This is Huey Lewis in the News. And "Power of Pop." Yeah, we've got a friend who's remained unnamed, but he really loved Huey Lewis.
This was from a movie soundtrack, which you're going to see on the top 10 here. I think we got 3 of them.
That's a trend in the 80s,
from
yes.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So.
Well, very cool. Speaking of Prince, number 7, "Pop Life." I actually forgot this song when talking and mentioning the title, but I listened to it again, and I remember thinking, it's not bad. It's not bad for Prince. It comes from the album Around the World in a Day.
I think he could have done better.
It's got a slow, basic beat.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes along like that. He says stuff like, "What you putting in your nose? Is that where all your money goes?"
Yeah.
Prince is asking some questions,
And it's got the doubled vocals, which I don't particularly. The vocals are like doubled up.
Oh, okay.
Somehow. I don't know. That doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Number 6, Freedom by Wham. I'm going to say Wham. It's from the album Make It Big. And George Michael, of course, being half of Wham. George Michael passed away not too long ago.
Yeah.
And
I think it was around Christmas or...
Yeah, not too long ago. Wham putting out a lot of hits, and this is I Don't Want Your Freedom. And, I don't want you to be free. I want you to be with me and that kind of thing. And Jim, as I close out my section before you do 1 through 5, just got to say that as we talk about songs of the 80s, this is really like another culture, another world for you and I, because 85, we were definitely into post-punk, new wave, and a new genre coming into being called alternative. And so if you're a new listener to our podcast, this is just the top 10 singles, and this is not what we were listening to.
Yeah, so, I don't consider this 80s music.
But it is. It is 80s like pop.
The Cure, Depeche Mode, stuff
right,
like that.
And so we're going to get into, in another show, a month or two from now, we're going to be getting into another show and talking about 80s music. And focusing on what was, we think, the best, and looking at new wave and alternative. Yeah. So, Jim, why don't you start with number 5 here?
Okay, we got Phil Collins with Don't Lose My Number. And Phil Collins wrote this song and said the lyrics were improvised and that he himself does not fully understand what they mean. So we have...
That's from No Jacket Required.
Yeah, and there's this guy, Billy. It says, searching through the day and into the night, they wouldn't stop till they found him. They didn't know him and they didn't understand. They never asked him why. Get out of my way. They heard him shout. Then a blinding light, maybe like a UFO or something. And all I could see was him running down the street, out of the shadows and into the night.
That's pretty descriptive for not knowing what that means.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. Yeah. You mentioned just improvising. You're familiar with Sussudio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that means?
No.
Neither does he.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was writing a song and just was trying to think of some woman's name, and he couldn't think of anything, so he did Sussudio.
You know what I just found out?
What?
This doesn't have to do with Phil Collins, but...
No, tell me anyway.
I think it was Little Richard, Tutti Frutti, where he says, womp bam baloo bump, womp bam bom. He was trying to describe to the drummer how to play the drums.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they thought it should go in... I don't know if they were recording or... But that's where that came from.
Yeah, as a drummer, I do booms and clicks, Boom,
yeah,
click,
but I never knew that.
Click, boom, click.
So we're on to number 4 here. We Don't Need Another Hero by Tina Turner.
All right, so there you got the second most overplayed song. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this was from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Now, this is interesting. In March 2016, Seal and Giancarlo Canella performed a cover of the song during the Fox television special, The Passion. And it was sung in the story where Pontius Pilate, played by Seal, is torn at sentencing Jesus, which is Giancarlo, to death.
Wow. And
the lyrics were amended to remove the reference to Thunderdome, which was replaced with The Love We Know. So Thunderdome, The Love We Know.
Wow. I wonder, we don't need another hero. Were they thinking Pontius Pilate the hero or Jesus the hero? The servant leader giving his life. That's pretty deep.
Yeah,
that's pretty deep. And she really belts it out, Tina Turner. I don't listen to this song. It's not on my playlist, but gotta give her credit. She can really sing.
Yeah. So these are songs. First of all, The Power of Love was written for the movie. So I'm always intrigued by that when someone, I guess, tells you what the movie's going to be about.
Right.
And then you have to come up with a song,
Yeah.
Number 3 is St. Elmo's Fire. So here's another one from that same movie by John Parr.
Screaming John Parr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's an English musician. So this is your typical, I say, 80s sound. I mean, if you heard this song and didn't know it was from a movie, you'd think 80s movie.
Yeah. Kind of know it, hearing it.
Yeah, it has that movie soundtrack sound. And so we're at number 2 with Cherish by Kool and the Gang.
Cherish, yes, it's another love song. It's not as much as Danceable Dance Club as Kool and the Gang has done, but it's a love song.
Yeah, so the song starts off with the sound of the ocean and keyboards and seagulls, It starts with the line, "Let's take a walk together near the ocean shore." And it's since become a wedding song.
Okay. Probably even more so in the late 80s, but yeah.
And this, believe it or not, Kool and the Gang, this was off their 16th album.
Who gets that? I mean, 16 albums.
In 1985.
Wow.
It's the third single. They've released 24 albums, and the last was in 2013. But to get to 16 by 1985,
that's a lot
when they started.
That's a lot of recording. Wow.
Yeah. And this song ranks as the biggest adult contemporary chart hit of the 1980s.
Wow.
Yeah. So listen to Cherish.
Yeah. And number one of the top 10 U.S. singles 35 years ago.
Is probably one of the most overplayed of the 80s.
I have to agree with you, Jim. This, you know what I said before about they're second and third to this.
I want my MTV. Okay. So it's Money for Nothing by Dire Straits.
And if you're watching TV, it was about MTV, right?
This song's pretty much the commentary on the birth of the music video.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a band, women, money, and appliances.
That's right.
Yeah, there's microwaves, color TVs. Now, MTV was only 4 years old at the time. So by this time, music video was just a hot thing.
Right, right. But, it's funny that when you mention it, the video, I think of appliances. I think about microwave ovens and refrigerators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sting is on this.
That, redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Redeeming quality.
Now, this album is from Brothers in Arms, and it is the first album to sell 30 million copies on CD.
A great album, by the way. I was at some parties back in college, and this album was playing, and I think I went outside or went for a drink when this song played because it was overplayed. The rest of the album's decent.
Yeah, Walk of Life is on there.
Yeah.
Now, believe it or not, I love Dire Straits, but I just assumed they had come out with more albums after this.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, this is the fifth album of only 6. Their last album was 1991. So the next album came out in 91, and they broke up a couple years later. Now, there's no talk of them getting back together either because Mark Knopfler, the lead singer, he didn't even show up when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow, what was he
doing? So there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But this is the 8th best-selling album in UK history, and get this. It spent over 1,100 weeks on the UK album chart, the 5th most of all time. Wow. And I'm sure it's the album and the songs, maybe. Not just the song.
I want to encourage our listeners to check out this album, but not for the 2 songs that you mentioned. When I hear this album, do you know if this has your latest trick on it?
Yeah, it does.
That song is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you don't know Dire Straits, you've got to check out this album, and by all means, you can skip over Money for Nothing and Walk of Life, but listen to the song, Your Latest Trick. It is so sweet. I encourage you to listen to that.
I just listened to that the other day.
Love that.
Okay, so that does it for our top 10. That was from September 21st, 1985.
So, Jim, we have a winner. Last show, we offered a CD. It's the best of Three Dog Night.
Yeah.
So who won the CD?
His name is Howard Wright. So good going, Howard.
Yeah.
And you'll be getting your CD real soon.
Great. Next we have our
featured segment.
Excellent. And it is with Claudio Strillo of the band Anything Box.
Yes.
I'm psyched.
It's going to be a good one. So on today's show, we have a special guest. He's a songwriter, artist, and the lead singer of the band Anything Box. Welcome to Jim and Mike Talk, Claudio Strillo. Hopefully I said your name right.
You can actually just say Claude S, which is what I prefer, and people never do that. Oh my God.
Claude S.
I'm going to have to change the background.
Claude S is fine.
Okay.
So we've got you silhouetted like you're the Invisible Man on the screen there.
Do you not want to be seen?
I know. I'm trying to like, I was trying to be funny, and now I'm like, how do you turn it off?
We see your silhouette anyway.
Crap.
I thought you invented a serum over there.
I
cool.
was ready.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's working on
Darn
that.
it.
Claude, it's good. It's good to meet you virtually.
At least part of me.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can do it like this.
What
Yeah.
have I done? Oh God! See, this is what you get when you get like a creative person doing a Zoom crap.
You could figure out how to do it, but not how to undo it.
Yeah, creativity. Creativity.
The thing is,
more
I
important.
had it all set up, right? And I was like, oh, I
Mhm.
can just turn it off. But the minute the actual thing became
Yeah.
live, the whole thing went kablooey. Oh, there we
Oh.
go. Hold on one second. Here we go. Virtual background, none.
There you go. Hi.
There you are.
There
we're
I
gonna-
am. Thank you, guys.
You see our background. Jim
We
made
did
a
a
background
little-
here. Can you see
I
it?
see that.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we're going to ask some hard-hitting questions today. And the
Oh,
first
boy.
one
Go
is,
for it, man.
what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I'm still having it. It's right here.
He's still having it.
This is what
What
I
is
had.
that?
I'm having my coffee. Remember, it's 7
Okay.
o'clock my time, or 11
Yeah.
o'clock. But I got up.
Okay.
I got up really early.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean, you
11
really
o'clock.
want to know what I had for breakfast? Is that really what you want to know?
No, that was a joke.
I mean,
No, it's good. That's good. So it's 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock where you're at. Very cool.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but with the year, but I think it was 88. My band Frame of Mind opened for Anything Bucks at a club called Oliver
In
J's.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Correct.
Because I don't remember much from, I know that was a long time ago. And I know you probably played a lot of shows.
You know what's funny?
We
I
only
remember
played a
that
couple,
show
so-
vividly.
I'm trying to think. You said Allentown. I'm wondering if that was in South Bethlehem, down 3rd Street in South Bethlehem.
It could have been Bethlehem or
Yeah.
Allentown.
Yeah.
I remember, didn't we help you load your equipment or take your,
Yeah,
He wouldn't
it was
remember that.
afterwards.
He's just say thank you. Thank you.
but that was the
funny-
first time we met you guys.
Yeah. There's.
And I
two
think it was the
funny
only
stories.
time I met you, but
Yeah, we had fun, man. I like that was one of those. I don't know. I want to call it a fledgling moment of brightness. You just where you see the future, where it's going.
mhm.
And that show in Pennsylvania was actually a really important one for me.
Okay.
Great.
That's why I remember it really well. First of all, it was the very first show where we played outside of New Jersey. So
Okay.
contrary to
I know.
popular belief, even New York City was after, I believe,
Mhm.
Okay.
Pennsylvania. So, and that could be wrong, but this is how I remember it. So it was the first, we're out of state, we're driving somewhere far from home with
Mhm.
all this gear, and all that stuff. And
Who were you
then,
with on that show? Who was with you helping you?
It was Mike and Danya,
Mhm.
the three that wound up in California at first.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the drive was really long, and we were scared because although we put flyers out, remember, there's no internet or anything
Yeah.
Right.
to
Mhm.
tell you that
Depend-
it's going to be packed or that you're
Dependent
gonna be
on
loud
word
or
of
anything of the
word of mouth, and those
Word of
postcards
mouth
and flyers.
and independent radio stations at the time.
Right.
Yeah. So there was
Right.
a college station that this is how we kind of got it, I think. Mike will probably hear this podcast and say, no, it was like this. But I remember it being that we got the hookup because there was some airplay happening.
Mhm.
So we had no idea what was going to happen. So the really cool things that did happen there that were amazing to me was first when we played, everyone sat down on the dance floor. I remember that. And that was very disconcerting because we're like,
You're going to sit there.
Yeah, why are people sitting?
us? What is this about? Like, we didn't know what to expect. So we do like 2 songs in, and I just remember that then everyone stood up, and I'm like, are you enjoying this? And then someone yelled out, we were just listening. And that was a big deal. Like, I
Yeah,
thought, wow,
yeah.
we're enjoying this. And then mayhem broke loose. That was the first time that someone literally OD'd or had a fainting or something right in front of the stage. And we watched her being carried out. And this was like, is this the future? Like, what the hell's going on?
See, I don't remember any of that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And we got to
Weren't there there were a couple other bands too, right? Besides us, I think. Yeah.
But I definitely remember you guys. And I don't remember the other bands, but I definitely remember you guys. And then I remember that we all hung out, and true to that picture that's on the demo tape, which I swear I've looked for everywhere, but I haven't found it, but I know I have it somewhere, is there's a picture on the cover, and it's the two of you on a tractor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I still have that.
Yeah. And
Steve and I.
Right, so that's not me. That's not me. I was there somewhere being a roadie probably, but Steve was with you in the band.
Yeah.
Steve was with Jim in the band, yeah.
And I think you talked
it was incredible. And we were hanging out in after from what I remember, you guys gave us the tape. You helped us unload the gear out of the place, which was a little bit of mayhem. And then we were hanging out in a field that was very much like the field that's in that picture, which might have been the same field. I don't know. That's what I remember about that night.
See, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
So that's my memory, right?
See, and that was
So you're saying it was a positive crowd, I mean, except for the girl ODing and falling over. It was a positive reaction.
Oh yeah, we loved it.
That's great.
And then it was like, this is it. We know we're doing the right things, I guess, because we're in a place that nobody should know anything about us, and suddenly we have fans.
Very cool.
So that was a very happy feeling, and
So I was going to tech school in Allentown there, and so Allentown, Bethlehem, and so several college radio stations. Muhlenberg, WMUH was great too. Just playing a lot of great stuff, a lot of stuff that you and I all of us love. And so those people were there, maybe, coming out to see you.
It was crazy, man. So I have one more story about that whole incident, and then
incident. We'll call it a good incident.
A good incident, but this wasn't so good. But so we're driving home, and it's probably about, I want to say it's like 3 a.m. Because now it was really late, and we're driving home on Route 80 or something, and we get stopped by a cop because we were speeding
to get home. Yeah.
So we get stopped by this cop, and he's like, "Is there any excuse that you can give me as to why you're going so fast or whatever?"
Right.
We're like, "We just played the first gig we ever had in Pennsylvania. Here's our 8x10. Here's our demo.
Really?
Hanging out with this cool band. We're just like doing this cool stuff, and we're just excited. That's all, man." And he let us go.
Wow. Cool. I'm hoping he's into cool music and a musician.
It was rad. It was like such a rad evening, and it ended that way.
And you had what was worth something. You had something to give. You had something to give to him instead of just not coming from a great show. Let's go back.
It was a shitty show, and you can get a damn ticket.
Right. And then you get pulled over. That wouldn't be good. You might not have thought. Do you want our stuff? Right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginnings here. Let's go back.
So you were born in Argentina. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
When did you?
Born in Argentina.
When did you come to the U.S.?
My parents immigrated to the U.S. in, some things aren't good with memory.
Well, how old were you? That'd be better.
I want to say it was 70. Well, I was 6.
Okay.
And so I want to say that was 77, 78.
Okay.
And I came from, so you grew up in Pennsylvania, right? So
I grew up in
New Jersey, right on the edge of the Delaware River.
Yeah.
Well, so you know what's like out there. They call it the Garden State for a reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's trees, there's all these beautiful things. Where I grew up in South America is very much what you would call a rural America kind of look. We still had dirt roads. I mean, it was beautiful, and I had as a backyard, I had an entire field.
Yeah.
When I came to Patterson, it was like I was thrust in the middle of an industrialized world.
Yeah,
The first thing I
yeah.
saw was a crane destroying a building. I remember that vividly. And it was like, where am I? What?
Yeah, there's parts of New Jersey that are beautiful, you know, that where I live in Washington right now, and I can see the mountains, very quiet neighborhood. And
are you talking Washington State?
New Jersey.
No, Washington, New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, Washington, New Jersey. I'm like, wait a minute.
So, Claude, what you're saying is even at 6, you recognize that from the field and the nature to coming to the wrecking ball. Yeah, you could feel that.
It was sort of like I understood that this was a very different world, and it was going to be my home, you know, so I had to adapt. And I can't say that I adapted perfectly, but I did my best.
So as a young teen, what kind of music influenced you? What do you think may be different from your parents, or the same music as your parents? What developed Claude as a young teen musically?
Funniest things, man. I mean, I'd love to say, oh, I was instantly, you know, introduced to Kraftwerk by my parents. You know. And that was it. No, it wasn't like that. Music, well, actually, it's a weird story. Okay, so my parents wanted me to take music lessons, specifically guitar lessons, to be balanced. They did not want me to become a musician well into my teens, mind you. They did not want that. So around, I want to say 8 or 9 years old, in around that time, they decided they wanted me to take some guitar lessons. And I hated it. I hated everything about it. I didn't want to play the guitar. I didn't want to hear music. There was nothing about music that I actually liked at that time.
It's fascinating.
And it's a really weird thing because what happened was, fast forward a little bit, around 10 years old, I drowned. I actually drowned in a lake, and I was out, like literally out. They had to pull me out of the water, pump my stomach, you know, all this kind of stuff to bring me back.
Wow, that's traumatic.
And I know this is weird, and I know it's like, we weren't expecting this in our podcast, but
no, this is great.
I came home, you know, from that experience, and the first thing I picked up was the guitar that had been in the room for like years untouched, and my friend. And every drawing that I had done up until that time, which I was drawing, I've been drawing since I was a little kid, like all little kids draw. But the stuff that I was drawing changed on that day. From that day on, the drawings were a little bit more serious, enough that teachers would say, like, I don't know what's in his head, but there's something weird about eggs with trees coming out of them, you know, that kind of stuff. So I started drawing a lot, and I started playing music more. And my foray into music was very personal. I actually came from it with blinders on. And so the influences started later on in life, where people would say, hey, have you heard Van Halen? No, let me hear it. Oh, wow, I like this. Oh, have you heard Pink Floyd? Oh, I like this too. Oh, this resonates. And so then it was like pick and choose. So in that sense, I think I have a very varied background. I grew up into my teens, once enamored of music, of course. My grandparents were listening to tango in the house, so some of that comes in. I had friends who were into really heavy metal. That comes in. The first independent radio stations I ever heard played punk and new wave, and that was like nothing I'd ever heard before on any radio station or in school.
New for everybody,
so
right?
That obviously, so that definitely hit me. And then I had a friend who I met in one summer who was a DJ guy, and he made mixtapes. So in those mixtapes, I would hear this weird music, and I would be like, "What is this? What the hell? And what are these instruments?" And then that's when, oh, that's Can, that's Kraftwerk, and I was like, okay, all right. So I guess my musical structure began to form itself out of all that. So
right.
nothing was off the table.
Right. The traumatic experience that you had at age 10, it really, you go to and we've heard this before from some other people. You need something, you go to the guitar to help express yourself, feed your soul,
Exactly.
but
You don't know what the hell happened to you, and
I don't know what to say, so I'm going to play something. So interesting that your drawings changed as well. Yeah. Fascinating at age 10. And then, the creativity, the unusual instruments and experiences of electronica, craft work, industrial. Yeah.
Oh, so and I have to add this story so that you get the whole picture here. So I'm trying to learn guitar better, which never happened. To this day,
I played for a year myself and gave it up.
We could talk about that later. But so I'm trying to learn the guitar, and I'm trying to learn how to write music and to express myself. And one thing that was really frustrating was I could hear other things in my head that I wanted to put down that I couldn't get right. So I'd play let's say a basic rhythm on the guitar, but immediately I'd be hearing a counterpoint, and I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to play that?
Right.
I can't do both. And then I'd hear a bass sound.
Yeah, you're hearing the bass, hearing the drums.
All that stuff was very frustrating. So one day, my dad comes home, and I was about, I want to say I was already 17. And my dad comes home. He's like, I won something in a poker game, and I don't know that I can sell it, so I'm just giving it to you. I think it might be worthwhile for you.
Yeah. Snare drum.
And it was a reel-to-reel. It was a real.
I guessed wrong. Sorry.
And the first thing I saw that it had on it, it says it was a Sony, and it said features sound on sound, and that to me was like, uh-oh. If that's what I think it is, I'm in. And sure enough, it was. And that's it, man. I was like, okay, now I can overdub myself over and over and over again. And a lot of weird, creepy music came out of it.
Wow. And that's reel to reel. There's very few people had a reel to reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went from reel to reel into studios. I actually bypassed 4 tracks and all that stuff. I just went from one right to the other. Like, it was bizarre.
So cool.
So
let's talk about your record deal with Epic.
Oh boy.
Now, how did this?
If you want to,
now
you can make this as short as you want there.
So I know when I was in a band, we didn't play out a lot. We only did like 3 or 4 shows, but we did record, and we did send our tapes to record companies in hopes of getting a record deal. So was that? I know you probably did that, and maybe someone saw you perform. Like how did that?
I can tell you that back.
I mean, I'm sure there's a long story.
No, it's not actually. But I mean, I'll give you the skinny. I'm sorry, I tend to ramble.
That's okay.
But let's set the scene. It's 86. Between 86 and 88, we did a lot of shows. A lot, and we were getting notoriety. We actually managed to get ourselves some airplay. Tapes were being sent out. I can tell you right now, every single person, nothing. Not a single reply, not a single return, nothing. Nothing was happening. And we were kind of okay with that because at every show we were selling tapes. So at the end of the night, we were like, okay, so we're splitting $300. I mean, we were making money. So we're splitting some money. We're buying pizza for ourselves, and we got money to print flyers for the next show. So all good.
You were happy doing the shows.
Let's just keep doing.
People liked your music, yeah.
Yeah, and we were really getting good crowds. I'm proud of these things, so I'm not saying it to show off, but it's really funny how we went from 10 people the first time, 20 people the second time, and then we were all of a sudden 150 people, and then suddenly 10 shows in, we're like 600 people every time, and we're like, what is happening here? It's crazy. So we loved it, but at the same time we were very unprepared for that kind of thing. you know, the jump.
Yeah.
Well, word was
So
spreading.
to answer
People
your
were going
question,
Mm-hmm.
labels at that time, they really weren't interested in synth pop or anything of the sort. It just wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hair metal was in. That was what was on MTV. That's all we were really seeing. You know, but the Bon Jovis of the world were making money. So
we've got a story about that, but that's for some other time. Yeah.
do tell.
We don't like
so you know, so that's what was making money. So obviously, three people that looked like they came out of a graveyard playing really weird instruments wasn't going to sell records.
So were you wearing makeup or any costume?
Well, I wouldn't say that I was wearing makeup per se.
We had that new wave look.
No, but you know, obviously the hair was all weird. And all of us were in black and very gothic looking at that time. And our attitude was very different. And so honestly, that didn't do it. What actually did it was that later on, a pop artist out of the blue was visiting Jersey. That was Stacy Q, for those that don't know the story. And her band wound up going to some Rutgers gig, and they saw us, and they're like, you should be signed. And we have a manager that might be interested, give us a tape. We did. Again, nothing really happened. He called us maybe 2 months down the line and said, if you guys can fly to California, we'll record a demo of one song, but you got to fly yourselves out. We can't pay for it. So we actually have to come up with the money to pay for it.
Yeah, it's $1,000 commitment right there.
Yeah, and it was. And it was really hard to come by. We did it. We went, we recorded the song. That was that. We didn't think anything of it.
What
Maybe
was the
2
song?
months, Living in Oblivion, of course. And the demo, by the way, that demo was the one that what happened was he gave it, or John St. James, let someone hear it. They stole the DAT. Okay? They stole the master tape.
Digital audio
tape. Took it to a radio station in Houston, played it, and it just shot straight up.
Wow.
And now, of course, you have radio stations taping it off each other, and suddenly this unknown band out of nowhere is getting airplay. Everyone wants to sign you, and that's the secret. So the secret, if you want to know, then and now in 2020, it's the same. If you're causing enough attention, they come to you. You can go to them as much as you want. Nothing's going to happen, you know. It's always going to be based on the attention you're getting from the outside world. So that's really, you know,
so that's a very unusual break that you're saying that went from LA to Houston, from New Jersey to LA
to Houston,
down to Houston. Yeah. Across the whole US. That's a very strange
instantly
break.
We're famous in Houston and we've never been there. So imagine that. So that was the oddity of all of that. But, you know, I wish we hadn't picked Epic.
So
we
the
had
songs
other choices, and there are some that I regret. I kept telling them I really like, you know, I liked Some Bizarre, for example, and they were interested, and I was like, I'd rather be on Some Bizarre, and they're like, but it's not a big label. I'd rather be on Beggar's Banquet. They're looking like they want to do something, and I love that label. I'm like,
I think Wham was on Epic.
Yeah,
Wham was on Epic.
Dude.
I think Cheap Trick was on Epic.
Wham.
Oh, God.
I love Cheap Trick, but anyway.
Claude, we're going to talk about your first album a little bit, and then a couple other albums. Not all of them. Not going to, you know, spend the whole afternoon going through each album. But talk about Peace a little bit, and then also 2 other albums, some stuff off of that.
Yeah. Now, Peace was. Did you already have these songs written? Were these songs you were performing, or was it combination?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that 90% of all bands, their first album is usually a composite of all the live gigs they're doing.
Yeah,
right.
And most of the songs they're playing live are the most popular ones, and so forth.
Right.
With us, there were 3 new songs, maybe 4.
Okay.
But everything else was older material that we had been doing live. So it was easy to record. I think the whole album took 2 weeks to track and mix and everything. We did it in 2 weeks.
Now, did you have to play all the demos for the record company, or how do they?
Oh my God!
Because I watched your Quarren stream, and I know
it was
there was some approvals there that had to be made.
Yeah,
you want to go into all that?
Some of it was bizarre. And look, I get it. I get their point of view too. I can't, obviously, if someone came to me and said, I wrote a weird song that has 3 verses and the choruses only come in at the end, yeah, I might be a bit weirded out by that. But it's the suggestion of, it's a weird feeling when they say, no, nah. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're
something you put a lot of time into
for ages, and everyone
or a song
it.
you love playing, or
or a song that you don't realize that they don't like it, but it's because someone else wrote half of it and they're not going to get half the publishing on it. So that not to use this as a platform for politicism here, but it's that whole idea of, because the source isn't what you like, or the source has mixed emotions politically, then you're going to say no, rather than it's a good song. You're just on its face value can say it's a good song.
Yeah,
and to me, that was the first, the beginning of like, oh God, this is just going to get harder.
So you got the deal based on Living in Oblivion, or did you have to present after it got the radio airplay, like a couple more songs just to prove that you had it?
The same one that everyone heard, and they loved, for example, Kiss of Love, they thought was a hit.
Okay.
They loved World Without Love, they thought that was a hit.
So you presented other songs to them before?
And they're like, okay, so you have more stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, mistakenly, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a notebook, 300 something songs. Oh, cool, sign here then. Sign these away.
I remember Steve and I were driving to, we call it Q-Mart, it's Quakertown Farmers Market.
Just north of Philly.
And that's when we heard Living in Oblivion on the radio. We were just blown away, because I think at the time we knew, I don't know if we knew you were signed to Epic or we found out after, but we were so proud of you guys.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
that's
that.
what we were trying to do, but we never, got that far.
And I remember Steve's feel, his creative flow, and what he liked, very similar to what you were producing. So yeah, Steve really was into that. Talking about touring, have you ever toured outside of the U.S.?
Yes. Regrettably, not Europe, but where we would have done, I think, much better. But South America for sure. So we've been to Peru, we've been to Ecuador, outside U.S. borders, we did Puerto Rico, things like that.
How's that work with Spanish language? I've been to Peru several times, Spanish speaking predominantly, and then some Quechua. How's it go for receiving the English language?
It's fine. Obviously I can speak Spanish, so I can hold my tongue. We used to do a funny trick that we would play on people when we went to South America the first time. Oh, and Mexico too, by the way. I forgot to mention. It's a trick we started in Mexico, which was really funny. We do things sometimes just to be, for lack of a better word, anarchists, right? But in a lighthearted way, not to be mean or to do things on purpose. So when we went to Mexico the first time, remember, Danya is Ecuadorian, basically. So I said to Danya, look, let's not speak Spanish at all. Let's just wait until a given moment, and then we'll just start. Like, we won't. So, right. So one of the first interviews on television, which was really funny, so they had an interpreter on there. And so, they're like, what do you think of, this? And then we'd answer in English, and then they would interpret, right?
Right.
So then, like, I think about 5 or 10 minutes in, they asked some question about music. And as the interpreter was speaking in Spanish, I interrupt them and I'm like, excuse me, that part, you're not getting it quite right. Actually, it goes like this. And then I start speaking Spanish. I'm like, what do you think, Donnie? And then she starts speaking Spanish. The funniest shit you could imagine.
Yeah. It would definitely throw him off.
I could see him, the engineer across the way with his headphones on. He takes them off. He's like, it was great.
That's a great trick.
So then they wanted us to do that everywhere we went, which was really funny. But it actually added to, like they realized you're singing about serious topics. You have certain energy on stage, and then you have this demeanor. So obviously, there's different dichotomies playing into it. It's not it's not a very unidirectional thing, emotion.
Right. Right. Multifaceted, who you are, multifaceted. When they look at you at a glance, they're like, where's he from?
Yeah. Or like, or like, what's his game anyway? Cause I never follow all the rules. So it always makes it like, so it was our first foray into being really individualistic, because we could get away with almost anything going across the pond. So we were just trying different things. It's like, let's
so when you toured, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, let's just change costumes mid-song. Like, get out of the stage and come back wearing completely different colors and not explain it at all. Just do it. And, to us, it was funny, but to people, it was like, why did they do that?
But you're looking for an audience that wants to say, make me think. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, give me something to think about.
Exactly. Yeah.
And kind of which is the opposite of hair bands and heavy metal.
So on your first
top of the day.
So on your first tour, you weren't headlining, right? Were you opening for other? I don't know how big the places were you were playing.
It was funny. It was so unprecedented. So we had these moments where so the gigs are, I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this because it doesn't sound logical in any way, shape, or form. But here's what happens. You get a song on the radio. It goes to #1. But you're not thinking of the top 10. You're thinking, I'm at #1 and this is what I'm into. So when we go play at this place, this is what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. Maybe, it was Lanier was #2 and Debbie Gibson was #3. So your show is, I'm opening for Debbie Gibson. I'm playing with third bass.
Okay.
I'm playing with a rap band. The first bit of shows were so bizarre because, we're trying to come on and I don't know if you saw pictures of that time, but we had like military gear, the background was camouflage stuff.
Yeah.
We're going on with like teeny bopper type things that were happening at the time. And everyone's like, I can tell you there was a lot of radio stations that we would play a song, we would play our set, and then the next day we'd be dropped from that playlist.
Yeah.
That happened actually, because it was like, difficult. We don't know what the hell you're doing, or what we don't understand what you're doing. How did you get a hit?
So difficult to mix the genres in the same show just because you're #1, 2, and 3.
Because exactly. And so our first shows that first summer, they were crazy, man. But I have to say, because of that, we learned a lot about performing, because we would watch certain people and we would say, I like how they're working the crowd. That's something we're not good at in one aspect, but I like how they did it. And we would see the reverse of that, which is like, oh, wow, was that ever a mistake that person just made? Look at how the crowd just basically turned on them. So we started to have our little rule book, like, don't do this. That doesn't work.
Don't be arrogant and don't demean the crowd. Okay, check.
Yeah, don't say, why the fuck aren't you dancing? That doesn't work.
I'm leaving, actually.
Like I'm after you guys. I'm leaving the stage. Don't do those things.
Yeah.
So you kind of get a sense of like how different performers deal with crowds. And we learned a lot that way from watching other performers. And we needed that because all we had was our New Jersey performances, which were, let's face it, people who really liked us, who were fans, but a lot of friends and family and people that would go to every show. So we didn't have to do much. So now it's like, no, you're on trial now. We have to we're competing with Depeche Mode. We're competing with, all these other people. So you need to pay attention to what's happening.
Right.
So you played with some big bands besides Debbie Gibson?
We actually didn't play with Debbie Gibson. I just used her an example. I was trying to remember all the weird ones that were all like.
Because I saw a picture of you with a guy from Depeche Mode, one of the guys. So you obviously met. I don't know if you met all of them.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about like when you're getting up to a certain level, you can kind of, hey, can I get in there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was kind of cool. So we got to meet them, but we never actually got to play with them.
Did you ever run into anybody in the recording studio that were also recording at the time?
During Worth, we did.
Okay.
Actually, during Worth, we actually met. I didn't get to do it. I had a migraine that night.
Okay.
And Danya got to meet Nick Cave, and he asked her to do a recording with him, just to sit in and do backing vocals. So she wound up doing backing vocals on some Nick Cave record, and I would have done it too, and I was sick that night. We got to meet Sandra, also in Germany. We got to meet a lot of people actually. And the studio next door, when we were recording Worth, which is a good story later if you want to ask, Neubauten was recording next door. So now we're meeting people that we admired or that music that we were listening to that were more along the lines of, oh, this is our thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not, quote, some band that just happens to be in the top 5 and we're with them, but we don't listen to them at home.
Yeah, so not a good enough reason to be playing there, right? You just you need to feel wanted and in your own environment, right?
Yeah, and in your own environment, which is really cool. So you're like, hey, can I sneak in there and look around? I want to see what stuff they've got in that room. And then it goes back in, and you meet them, and you're like, wow, and you're meeting them on a weird, not the typical thing, because you're like, we're recording next door. Oh yeah, what are you recording? And then they come into your room to listen to some tracks. Well, come into our room, listen to what we're working on.
Sharing the creativity, sharing it
that way. Much better than being at a show and you're like, I've been a fan for 15 years. And I'm like, thanks.
So your second album, Hope, that was 6.
What? Technically.
Oh, really?
Well, tell us about that.
Was never released, right?
Tell us about that then. Tell us about Worth.
So, Pieces out, doing great. We're fine. Everything's great, except that we're like really having trouble with the record company. So, second album syndrome kicks in, right? Where they're like, what are you going to do for your second record? Now, this is going to sound mean. I'm not trying to be mean. We knew we didn't want to work with the first producer we'd worked with, who was also our manager and everything else. And we knew we didn't want that. We had so many problems with the first record and all those weird production decisions that we thought we want to be with someone that we love, whose work we admire. And so that was number one. And number two, we wanted to probably record somewhere where the record company wouldn't have as much access to us.
Yes, yeah.
So we chose Gareth Jones, who had done, Black Celebration and some of the Neubauten stuff. He'd done Erasure, of course, and a lot of great bands. So we chose him. We wanted him. Record company said no. We said, if you don't do it, we're walking. Like, we will boycott everything. We won't tour. We won't do anything that you want. So we basically strong-armed them into it. They said, fine. The beauty of it was, and this is just what I call sheer luck, or things happen the way they happen for a reason, depending on who you talk to. If it's me, things happen for a reason. Gareth Jones would not come to LA to record. He said, I will only record in Berlin because that's where I have studio time and all my gear is there. So if I take on this project, you guys will have to come to Berlin. So we were like,
yeah.
So we got our wish, right? We have the producer we want, which, by the way, we think we want because we don't know what's going to happen when we meet him. And we have a city that's far away from Epic Sony, so that we're not going to have too many eavesdroppers coming in saying, we don't like that bass sound, or we don't like this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we go over to Berlin, we meet him. He was fantastic. And he was my first look into what I consider a real producer. And I don't mean that to demean the others. It's just that there's two production types. One is the producer that says, I want my imprint, and everything that is in this record has to have a little piece of what I do in it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever your vision is, I don't care, as long as it serves the needs of the record company and the production. That's one type of producer. I don't like that type.
Right.
Then the other kind of producer is one that's creative, does have a signature, just like the first, but he understands this is your vision. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try to get the best out of what you're giving me, and I'm going to make suggestions. We can vote. We can say yes. We can say no. And I think, I'll be really honest, I fell in love with him. We were sitting at dinner. It's our first night there. He said, I've heard all the songs at least 2 or 3 times. And he says, let's run through the list. And so he was just basically saying, this one, I think we could do more backing vocals. I think some instrumentation. I'm sure you'll come up with some different ideas. We'll do some jamming. We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And he got to a certain song that was the closer. And he says, this song, he goes, honestly, we just need a really good recording of it. Mm-hmm. I loved that. It was as if ego was not involved. He said, basically, this song is pretty much done. All we have to do is get it recorded properly.
Yeah, he was saying just like that.
Vocal. Right. I'm not changing the words. I'm not, I'm not trying to serve an interest here. And I was like, he's the right guy. He's the right guy. I was like, yes. And he was. And I learned so much from him that I would not have been able to record myself properly without him afterwards. So he was very important to us.
So Worth was the second album, you said?
Yeah.
Because I thought.
Yeah, I know. Everyone, that's the mix-up.
But Hope came out second, right?
Mm-hmm. It did.
So there was, between the first and second one, when they were released, there was like a 6-year gap.
Is that right? Or is that
right?
Yeah.
So
not quite 6 years, because so Peace came out in 90. Worth was supposed to come out at the tail end of 91.
Okay.
All through 1991 to the tail end of 1992, we fought to get it released.
Okay.
We gave up around September, but by then we were already writing a third album. Okay. And then Hope was recorded on the tail end of 1992 and came out right in January, February of 1993. So about a 3-year gap. So
I don't know why I had 96.
And then by the time everyone heard it, it was probably towards the end of 93, because we didn't have any, distribution or anything to speak of.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. Everyone heard it around 94 and 95. So that's where it becomes the gap, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump ahead to 2001, I believe, with The Universe is Expanding.
Yeah. Love that album.
Yeah. So the sound is so different, as you've heard before. I'm not saying anything new. It's just got a different feel to it.
Yeah. Well, that one and the next one. Forgive me, I don't have the title here.
It's okay.
Is the next one?
The Effects of Stereo TV.
The Effects of Stereo
I'm sorry.
TV. Yeah. Which we are
those
right now
two
in
2020.
It's 2020 already. Can you believe it?
So those two were not electronic. They were just, especially the Effects of Stereo TV.
And
Right.
I wanted to ask you about the drums. I'm a drummer, and so my daughter's got an acoustic kit that I just bought for her, and I mean, an electronic kit I just bought for her for her birthday, and I've got a couple acoustic kits. What are you playing, or what is someone playing on the percussion for that's
Well, let me
stereo
go
TV?
back. Let me go back one album.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go back because I have a
Because
couple other
the
questions.
evolution gets weird, and
Okay.
I'll answer that question. But
Yeah.
it's a funny, weird thing. So after Hope, we did Electrodelica, which is the really
Yeah.
weird one.
Mhm.
Okay.
And during Electrodelica, which was like the weird anything goes record, my
Mhm.
feeling was I'm not going to chase synth pop anymore in any way, shape, or form. I don't care. And my attitude's sort of still like that to this day. It's sort of like I'm an electronic musician, but nothing is off the table. If I want to write a song that's 147 beats per minute and lasts 30 seconds, I'm going to do it.
Right.
If I want to have real drums, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to, so everything was on the table.
That's good.
Mhm.
You're open. You're being open. Mhm.
Yeah, so we did it. And then when Universe came around, it was sort of this is where we started to listen to some voices where it was like, if you go just one step further, you're in pop territory.
Yeah.
So why don't you just do it? Just do it.
Mhm.
So we're like, all right, we'll do it on 2 songs. We'll see what happens. We'll try it. We'll go into pop territory. We'll have a breakdown with some rapping on it or something. We'll do it. Why not?
Yeah.
We could do whatever we want. So we did it, and I'm glad we did it. But what I feel happened is by then we pushed the boundaries so far out from where we were that then we couldn't identify with ourselves. Like we're like, where are we? Like, where am I? Am I in a grunge band? Have I created a grunge band out of a synth band? And now what?
Mhm.
What if this becomes popular and now everyone expects us to do grunge all the
Yeah.
time?
Mhm.
And we come back and we want to do When We Lie, we can't,
Mhm.
So there was a weird conundrum there. But to answer your question, around Universe, I bought a drum set for my daughter,
Okay.
just like you bought a drum set for
Yeah.
your daughter.
Yeah.
And it was an acoustic kit. And a friend of mine, which is funny because he passed away a few days ago.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I had a pretty, it's been a bad week. But so a friend of mine, he actually said, buy a good one, because he's like, your daughter might lose interest, but you won't.
Yeah.
So just stick it in the back of the room, mate. Just put some good drum heads on it.
Yeah.
Just leave it
It's
there.
good advice not to
Let
get
it
a cheap drum
practice.
set.
And sure enough, she played it like 3 times, and then it was
Mhm.
just sitting there. So I started miking it up, and I would do what was known as Sunday sessions, and I did them for years. So this is the cool thing about Sunday sessions. Every Sunday, 3 hours, I'd practice. Drums are all mic'd up. Fast beats, slow beat, jazz, hip hop, whatever I could get into my head that I wanted to play, and I record it all, just straight to tape, and for lack of a better word. And what I would do is edit these down into loops or slices. I have a treasure trove of those. So like to this day, I probably have 30,000 some oddball files of me just playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
So
and snipped up and manipulated and whatever,
or however I want. So so for example, if I wanted to write a new, let's say just for the sake of argument, a punky song, right?
Yeah.
I can go to a folder that says Punk Sunday 10/19/2002, and every single thing in there is basically that type of a beat already done. I'm already playing it. It's already BPM'd out for me, and it's me playing, so I can just.
It's real drums played by you, right? You've got it.
Me. I can slice it up, go for it. There goes a new song. So jam to with my own playing, right? So Universe took advantage of some of those, for sure. Mm-hmm. And so did Stereo TV. But that said, Don't sue me, Dave Grohl. I was in love with Nirvana at the time too.
Yeah.
So on their second album, there was some nice, I got your kick.
Yeah.
So I was able to take their kick and mix it with some of the kicks I had, and I made like a whole kit based off Ringo, Dave Grohl, the Kinks, the Who, Led Zeppelin. Yeah. Anyone who ever had really good drums, believe me, I've pilfered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just solid sounds, not loops. I don't care about looping other people, taking a loop off some record. It's not my way. But single hits here and there, and to throw them in for flavor, and to think, this is a Nirvana thing, and it's so nice to have that hit, because I think that's Dave Grohl.
Well, there's a Nirvana song on The Effects of Stereo.
Exactly.
Molly's Lips. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that one we did a beatbox.
Right. I was listening to that on the way over to the studio today, and I'm saying that's Claude beatboxing, I'm sure.
My brother.
Your brother. See?
Yeah,
I'm wrong. And then I could hear in the background, sounds like you've very muffled bass drum beat. It's like this muffled. Is that beatboxing too?
Yeah.
It's real. It's the real low piece.
He could do all that stuff.
Okay.
It was really funny. He would come up with all these funny beats, and since I had the drum mics, I used to put a bass drum right onto the throat. Yeah.
It's a different mic. I know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd get this really nice bass, and we're like, we're gonna I wish I'd sampled more of him beatboxing, because then I'd have a treasure trove of just beatboxing. But
so when I heard as a drummer, when I heard these two albums we're talking about, I said that snare is so authentic. I just got to figure out whether you took electronic and manipulated it, or if that was a snare.
No, I have
beautiful.
Now, speaking for the tech heads, right? But now, I'm still paring down, because obviously, as an electronic musician, I can tell you I have a library, bar none. I probably have my own 60,000 plus library, and I'm not exaggerating. I really do. I would never be able to audition everything I've ever recorded to use.
Yeah.
But there are kits I made with an old Mapex kit. It was, Mapex, as you know, is not a really premier brand of any kind. Yes. But I put some really nice heads on it. I had decent mics, and I had a nice room to mic it up in. So I would mic everything up, take samples of each individual drum, take samples of overheads, and then do loops. So I have me as a crappy drummer, because I'm good for about 12 bars. I'm being honest. If you asked me to play for a band, I would not be able to do it. I'd come up with really cool parts, but I could only do it once. But that's the beauty of being an electronic musician, right? You're like, I know what I want for 12 bars, so let me get a good solid 12 bars, and now I can manipulate those 12 bars forever. And I can turn them into something they're not even imaginable of what they are. So you might on the current stuff, you might hear an acoustic snare that I recorded back in 2000, but the way it's pitched, changed, or put through effects, it now sounds like a robot. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I don't mind.
And it's still you playing.
I love that it's mine.
It's your voice. Yeah,
that it's my thing. It's like, I made it.
So by this time, when you did Universes Expanding, were you weren't still with Epic? You were.
No, we were way on our own by then.
Were you independent?
In fact,
pretty much.
I think I still have.
Isn't it N-pop?
This is funny. Hold on, I got something. Since you asked the question, by then it was N-pop, and so I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna put it close.
Okay.
Seeing a picture of a mixing board.
Yeah, that was actually
your studio.
That setup right there is what you're looking at, is from Stereo TV.
Okay.
And Universe.
Okay.
And opposite that board, like literally, 5 feet back, that was the drum set already set up. That room was fantastic, because we had everything mic'd all the time.
Yeah.
So you could literally walk in there at 3 a.m, decide to start playing drums. Someone would just have to hit record and you're in. You were already on a track.
Yeah.
So that room was gold for sampling. Anything. We actually had an upright piano in another corner that I actually got for free from a friend who was moving, and we put a mic on it, and so the same effect. You could just walk up to it and just I want to record something, or sample this one string on the piano. All I had to do was hit record on the computer and don't.
So did you record did you do all the instruments, or did you have other? Really? Wow.
There was 1 or 2 songs on stereo TV where my friend Dave, who was in the band at the time, he played drums on it.
Okay.
And he also wound up doing drums on some of the Diary stuff because, again, we had the Mapex, so whoever happened to sit behind the kit, if it was good, if anything good came out of it, it was recorded.
Now, is Danya on the Universe?
She's on both.
Because I hear girls
and stereo TV, and my daughters were as well.
Very
so
cool.
It was cool. We had extra vocals in there, and it was fun.
Yeah. I love that
song. Albums were fun.
Yeah,
65 Million Miles is like one of my favorite. I don't know. I guess it's the story, about a guy on a. I assume he's on a space station or.
Yeah.
And she's going back to Earth.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Sort of like your Major Tom, or
super long distance relationship right there.
Yeah.
So can we play a little?
He's on the moon.
Can we play a little bit of that?
Sure.
I heard from the station you're leaving tonight. I knew it would happen someday. Still I feel so numb. You're going home. The earth seems beautiful, somehow lonely too. Now that we are here, I want time with you. Can't face the night. You're going home. Turn away, walk away, just please don't face me now. Can't you see there'll be tears just covering my frown? This emptiness is clear. You're going home. Can it be that I loved you always for too long? Could it be that great distance that will keep us cold? Can it be that I'll call your name? You're going home.
So on that album, I think the Universe starts out with the song "Lead," which is that Universe expanding.
No, that one starts off with. That's really funny too. That you should bring up that particular one. Lead starts off the effects of stereo TV.
Okay. Got the album title mixed up.
And you know what's funny is that to me, that small little record, which by the way, it's the most loathed of all the A-Box albums. If people have their favorites and their the lower rung, it always is down here.
Really?
The diehard synth pop fans, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't connect to it.
Yeah.
But
I love Lead, so.
Watching the romance as they
Yeah, well, there's a very punk rock, very very in your face political attitude on that record. And I think that, a lot of the things we were seeing, we were reacting to, and we used that Nirvana-esque influence to tell a story, and so, yeah.
Well, I like it musically, and also you get a little philosophical there. I believe you say that even God is led. Is that what you say? Because you have the supreme leader of the universe and all universes, and you're even God is led by who? That's maybe I didn't hear it right. I couldn't get lyrics up on my Apple Music.
The idea, by the way, so that I can clear that up, because I am a spiritual person, is in our media, in our society, God is led. God isn't led in reality, but in the media world, it's sort of
used and manipulated.
I can give you a great example of God is led.
Yeah,
today.
I bet you can. There's plenty of examples. Go ahead.
Plenty of examples. The best example I can give you is why we can't, let's say, go to church and congregate at 6 feet apart wearing a mask, while you can get people to go riot and break windows in a park.
Oh yeah.
And forgetting the political aspect of it or the humanitarian aspect of it, it just, if you really break it down to logic, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So when I look at things like that, God is led. You're being told, hey, I can't worship on Sundays.
I don't even know, are churches not open
in
California?
Right now? They are not. Actually,
because I keep hearing now about movie theaters are going to be opening. So before churches.
So right. So you can go watch a movie about God, but you can't go talk about
Yeah.
So God is definitely led.
Yeah. It's an interesting phrase. Interesting phrase. So I thought I'd ask about it. Yeah.
So let's go on to your last album was 2008. Is that correct? It's called 19.
Ooh, wow, that one.
I'm going by iTunes, by the way. But.
Man,
we don't have your library there.
You're gonna be like, what is he talking about? Okay, so 19 is actually from 1988, and I what I did was, when we moved to California, before we moved to California to record Peace, out of the blue, I decided to do a little experiment. And this is just a weird, flippant thing to do, which was, I want to record something, and I had written a bunch of new songs, none of which are on any of the other albums, by the way. So I recorded a bunch of really odd songs, straight to the reel-to-reel, actually straight to cassette, this was. And the minute they were done and I was happy with the songs, I'm like, I'm putting this away. No one's going to hear this. Yeah. I'm not intending to record this. I want to revisit this 20, 30 years from now and see where my head's at. I don't want to touch it. So
was it personal? Or was it something else, some other intuition? Your intuition just told you, I got to put this away.
Yeah, my intuition just said, this is one of those things where it is what it is. Just leave it be. So I put it away, and I think it was around 2000. Well, obviously iTunes knows, right? So 2008 or so, I pulled this cassette out, listened to it in its entirety, and I think, all right, now this is my younger self expressing itself to me. And now I can hear what I was thinking about back then. I can go back to memories, all these weird experiences. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
So I decided that was the right time to release it. So I released it in 2008 as it was.
So why is it called 19? There's only 12 songs on it.
Why is it called COVID-19? There's the first one. Anyway, you've heard that.
Yeah, you can rename it.
Un-COVID-19, right?
Yeah. Why is it called 19?
Because it was reflections on being that age.
Oh, okay.
It's an age.
Also a play on words, because I was a big avid by then, by 2008, I was reading Stephen King,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a funny phrase throughout the. If you ever read The Dark Tower, so I'm a book nerd too.
Yeah.
So if you ever
Jim
read The Dark Tower,
has read all of Stephen King, by the way. Jim's got them all.
I don't memorize things.
But go ahead.
well, there's this little theme that happens in the Stephen King books when someone goes, "It's all 19. It's all 19."
Yeah.
Like all these weird things. And so around then I had a few friends and I were reading that book, really like avidly reading that book. And so all of us as a catchphrase would say to each other, "It's all 19. It's all 19." Every time something on the news came on, that was really strange. We're like, "It's all 19." So obviously
we can say that now. It's all
it's all 19. Now
it's all 19.
So one song on there which I like is Maribel.
Yeah, good tune.
Now, this is going to sound kind of hokey, but I thought it out. So it talks about Paris, and is this something that happened to you in Paris, or
just a wish or a dream,
girl, or is this just?
Man, you're asking me a question which is brilliant, and I wish
because this girl left your heart
answer,
and this girl left your heart
there
on the
my
Paris
heart in a place
trip.
I've never been.
Okay.
So the funniest thing is that I'm a big reader. I'm a big movie watcher. And sometimes I'll get an impression from watching a movie or from reading a book. And I'm not repeating the book, or in this case, it was a movie. In fact, the movie takes place in Italy, has nothing to do with anything that's in the song, which is Roman Holiday, if you want to know. I'd watched Roman Holiday. So I love the movie, and I love the fact that these two people couldn't be together. They just couldn't be together. If you know the movie, right? For the people that don't know the movie, she's a princess who decides to take, a day off, and basically putts around with these two boneheads who live in Italy, who are reporters, and basically she falls in love with one of them, and they know they cannot be together because they're from completely different worlds. And it's a sad but very happy story. It's a very good movie. Everyone should watch it during quarantine. If you haven't, it's a great one to watch. Take you out of this realm and into another. But I watched that, and it made quite an impression on me. And I wound up writing a story, like a little short story about two people in the same kind of scenario. But I chose Paris because that's the art world, and so I'm trying to describe it. I don't think I do a good job of it, but at the same time, it tells a story. And so I like the fact that people always ask me about that one and Carmen and all that stuff, because they get to the story parts and they're, who is this person? Maribel, as a name, is a name I plucked from real life, which was Donya's sister, which was hilarious because her sister would joke around and say, Claude's secretly in love with me.
Yeah. You never hear the end of that one.
Never hear
subconsciously.
To this day, I never hear the end of that one. And she's great and she's really funny. And so I had never met anyone named Maribel. So obviously when I met her sister, I was like, that's a perfect name for this song. And now I know what fits.
And it is a unique name. I've never heard of it before, and so it's great for a song title because it is something that you don't always hear.
So there you go.
So we want to play Maribel.
Okay.
All right. So here, let's listen. Let's listen to a little bit of Maribel
from 19.
And after all these years gone by, I still remember her goodbye. I can't believe it to this day. How did love mistreat me so? Why did you leave my heart on the Paris street? Why did you bring this emptiness on me? And so I've lived in secrecy to escape my destiny. The one I loved just went away, and it set my life astray. To have her in my arms is all I really want from life. To always look in her eyes, the eyes that once held.
Okay. There's
Sounds
no
great.
music.
I'm really
I
happy
will
that
edit.
you asked me about that one because
Oh,
that's
okay.
a rare thing. People don't, you know, the funny thing about 19 is that now, and this is odd. So obviously ABOX has been around for a long time now. And so I have the diehards that have been with us forever. And, you know, they're my age. So they're in 45, 50s, you know. I have some fans that are much older.
Wow.
But 19 as an album, I get fan mail from kids that are 19, 20, 21.
Really?
They're
Wow.
like, this is my favorite record. Please do more stuff like
Wow.
this. And I'm like,
That's cool.
but this doesn't make sense. And then I started to realize the minimalistic aspect of it. It's from 1988. It sounds like the real 1988 because that's what it was. You can't make that up. You can't pretend 1988. You have to really be in 1988 to do it. I can get away with it in my sense because I have sounds that go back that far. So I can say, okay, I can use sounds from 1988. So I can get away with it. But
Right,
there's a
but
lot
the
of bands that
attitude.
try to do it now.
Yeah.
And I find that I'll listen to a song and like it has a feel of 1988, but these sounds are not 1988, and that's definitely not a 1988 style.
You could probably take your vocals from different songs and make a new song with technology.
Probably could, but it's just funny to me that that's the one that people that are really young latched onto, and I'm like,
Is that so? That's available on iTunes and Apple Music. 19 is okay.
Yeah, it's on Apple
and
Music.
Spotify and all that.
I saw you did some shows last year.
Oh man.
So what are you doing now is what we're asking.
Or when's the last time you toured?
Waiting for us all to get healthy.
Or when's the last time you toured with Danya or even Paul?
Well, with Danya and Paul, it was a few years back.
Okay.
We officially all parted company, and amicably. You know, no animosity. They have kids, they have their lives, and you know, musical tastes started to vary too much in all directions. So obviously, as you get older, you know, there's no point. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it.
Right.
So around 2014, 2015, and for a while, I didn't know what I was going to do. But I started gigging on my own, and I found that not only could I get away with it, I was actually really enjoying it. So I cranked up the ABOX machine as much as I could. And lo and behold, I started to get really busy. So 2017, 2018, most of 2019, I was really busy. I was getting getting, for lack of a better word, getting shit done. I was happy.
Do you play mostly in California, though?
No, I was going all over the States. I was really
You come back to New Jersey?
Yeah, I actually did. Last year I was
Really?
in Jersey, Colorado. I went back to Seattle.
Cool.
I hadn't
Next
been to
time you're in
Seattle.
Jersey.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I'd been to Seattle. I hadn't been to Seattle in almost 20 something years.
Oh,
So I was starting, and this is a story you're going to hear a lot from different people, right?
mm-hmm.
I was on a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Economy was good, so I was getting paid better. It was just like the stuff was happening, and then
Yeah. So just thinking of a year or two ago, how do you do it on your own? I mean, I've seen several musicians, on stage alone. What's some of the basic things that you're doing?
Well, I'd love to say that I've got limber fingers and I'm playing every single instrument at the same time, and including my toes
and the drums.
Hit a drum thing with my head. It doesn't.
I mean, I can guess. How
the computer plays a huge role.
And
luckily, sequences play themselves.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of vocal and keys. You're doing a lot of vocal and keys.
Yeah, vocals are 99. First of all, when I say 99.9%, I want to explain that 1%. That 1% might be like a certain vocal effect that I can't get on a track because it's not something that can be produced live, like a backwards coming in vocal or something. So stuff like that I might have on there that I trigger, like a sample.
Yeah. But we're going to go with 100%. Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't. Everything I'm singing is 100%. There's nothing going on there that I could, honestly say, so if I screw it up, you're going to hear it. And I can, and I do, because I'm also playing samples at the same time. I'm trying to trigger lights or things that are going on at the same time. So there is some bit of, juggling going on.
At the same time. Yeah.
And jumping around like a maniac and then missing a cue. That happens a lot. Live remixing where I think I triggered it right, and then I'm like, oops, I'm a bar behind. Oh boy. So it happens.
Yeah.
But this is when you watch other performers. I didn't know what to do. So the first couple of shows that I did by myself, I feel were terrible. I was nervous.
Yeah.
I stuck to the set plan. I played it by the book. And they were good. People were happy. I just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And so
you
I
weren't
would walk
having
away
fun
thinking,
up there.
this is not what I want. Like,
it wasn't relaxed and
So by chance, if you want to call it chance, I came across Bruce Springsteen's Broadway thing on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I watched two basic documentaries, and I'm going to tell you,
those are good.
Yeah. I watched his. That was eye-opening. And then I watched the one from Colin Hay. He's the guy from Men at Work.
Yeah.
And I watched how they did solo performances. And I really liked it a lot. And I thought, you can't do that because obviously you're not going to play guitar and sing at the same time. I can't. It's too hard for me.
Colin Hay has a band too.
Well, no, he actually goes by himself. He does shows by himself.
I think when I saw him, I saw him a couple of years ago. I think he had other.
Now he has a band now. Yeah, if you watch the documentary I'm talking about, he's by himself. He's just
so it could have been
guitar, and he's literally sitting on the amp.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? What'd you learn from them to pull to your own show?
My own strengths, which I realized, like Springsteen, I can tell a story.
Yeah.
So I think what would happen is, rather than go there and say, here's Kiss of Love, which is your favorite song. Yeah, jump, yeah, clap, done. Let's do another hit. Rather than doing that, I would say, on a really crazy afternoon, this happened. And I would hit the note and let them hear what happened. And then, obviously they know the song now. And I was like, well, this went nowhere. And then from there, I decided that I would play around with this instrument and this happened. And then, so I started bringing the song back up.
Oh, yeah.
Telling them how it was written and how it came. and then we do it. And then I feel like it connects them in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
Song.
And that's what people want. People want integrity and they want storytelling. You know,
it's real. I'm by myself up there, so that's the best thing you can do.
We're just, you know, as listeners, and I think most people, we're just getting too old for the next hit, no song. I mean, no interlude, no discussion, no storytelling in between the songs. You know, people don't like that. You know, it's just we're not into that. Yeah. So that sounds really good. It reminds me that there's some bands who people have lost interest in. I've lost interest in a couple who are just doing that. I go to a show and it's just. It's like song. Thank you. It's like
that's it.
Wow. You know, I
don't
really
even acknowledge that there's people out there.
I really wanted to hear from you, even if it was 2 sentences. I wanted to hear. I need to be fed. I'm a soul needing to be fed. I think that's Claude. I think that's really admirable.
They're probably good with
storytelling
with concerts now where there's nobody there. Because they're not talking. They weren't talking to them anyway.
Right. We were watching.
Cardboard cutout.
Yeah, we were watching Thursday nights with on Instagram Amos Lee, and we talked about him at the last show too. And do you know Amos Lee? Ryan Massaro. Amos Lee, he's singer, songwriter, guitarist, and he's really struggling with having no audience right there. You know, and he mentioned it, and you can see
it is very hard, man.
Yeah. He's looking for that feedback, and it's understandable.
It's not there, and in a weird sense, it's not there.
I mean, you know, people are watching and commenting, but you know,
they're not there.
You don't hear the.
You're in a weird spot because unlike the live situation with the storytelling, it's like the spring thing. He's telling the story, and believe me, it's not so much a technique, but what I admired was that. He would just play a song, but tell a story about how the song was written, but also how morally he grew up. He talked about his parents, you know, growing up, all these different things, and I felt that it was very vulnerable, like very real.
Yeah,
right.
And you know, we always did that on stage, but never to that degree. So I thought, you know, all right, so I'm going to start breaking songs up a little bit. I'm going to start to, so basically do the same thing, singer-songwriter, but I don't have the benefit of having, quote, that I'm going to play the guitar and sing at the same time because that doesn't happen with me. But I have the machines, so at least I can break down a song. I can say these were all the parts that made this happen and have the same kind of feel, but yet we are going to jump up and down and dance and do this crazy thing to this song. But first, let's talk about whatever this issue is that we're all having. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it worked. And then I came off stage feeling like I really felt happier, you know, like this is really working.
And the audience can relate to you and
Yeah, the honesty and the vulnerability, and just makes the integrity as an artist.
And it's got to be
people
real.
Appreciate
it can't
that.
be faked. You can't pretend like you had a, you know. So it helped. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it helped me for when you fast forward to 2020.
Yeah.
When I got hit with this thing, right? Because everyone got hit with it at the same time.
Right.
To be bitterly honest, I was more prepared for it than most, because for me, like you were talking about the songwriter who didn't know what to do because he didn't have an audience at that moment. For me, it was like, okay, just pretend they're just sitting there watching, and I'm just going to tell them stories, and I'm going to play some music from the studio. We'll dig out the archives. It's going to be just like you're at the shows. You just the only difference is you can't jump up and down and talk to people and touch them, but you can tell the story and you can, you know, break it down. And I had the bonus bad thing for me was that I had just had surgery, so I couldn't even speak or sing the first couple of quarantine streams. It was like hard. It's still not back all the way. So it's been a road, man. 2020.
Those are great though. I've watched some of those. Some of those live, and then some, you know, you can go on YouTube. I guess you have them on YouTube.
Yeah. So I was, like I said, I was more prepared than most because as I was doing these things, what I was taking out on the road with me was I started by taking 2 cameras out, and I would position them in different parts of the stage. And the general feeling was, I'm just going to watch these at the end of the night, see how I did, you know, that kind of thing, just evaluate.
Right.
Mhm.
But one of those cameras, I was like, this one hooks up as USB, so I can use it as a streaming camera. And then I started to get into the idea of streaming before the whole pandemic hit. I had a lot of the
Mhm.
equipment, but I hadn't yet hooked anything up. It was like, well, if I do something, I'm going to have a camera that's overhead. I'm going to do this. So I'd started to
Mhm.
wire it up.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, that camera
got
that's
lucky.
overhead is really cool.
Lucky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
figured
look
out
like you're in a
that.
spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. So using all the skills you've got, you know, like, okay, I have fisheye lenses. I've got all kinds of weird stuff. Let's make this right, you know?
Cool.
So I
You
have
were
a different
well-
relationship to it than other artists do that are having trouble with it without having the audience present. It is hard. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's messed up. Does it replace having a concert experience? No way. I'm not
No.
even at a level that I could say that I can even say I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, hopefully it lets up enough that we start to get some things reopening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you working on
I may
any
have to
new?
move to a I may have to move to a different state to do that, to be honest.
Mhm.
But
Now, are you always working on songs? Are you thinking about another album, or you're not? Or you?
I have a funny relationship with that thought, to be honest with you. On one hand, it's like these are very important times because all the things that are happening warrant expression and documentation.
Yeah.
But then the other side of the coin is if you finish an album by December of 2020 and everything changes, everyone's going to want to forget 2020.
Oh,
So
yeah.
everything is basically
Yeah.
out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a weird relationship with it. It's like
Mhm.
I want to write, I do write,
Yeah.
and I'm going to record. But I'm not sure that an album per se is going to come
Yeah,
out in
right.
2020. I'm not going to try to
Mhm.
get to that goal. So
And you can't really make a decision on that. I mean, the future is so unpredictable with COVID-19. We don't
exactly.
know
What am I going
6
to do?
months and 1 year from now. We all just don't know. Yeah.
We don't. So the reality is I'm just a guy in phase waiting for phase 4.
Mhm.
Whatever the hell that is for me, I don't know. I'm here. I write. I play. I do my streams on Fridays. One good thing that came out of it is I get to do more art, and I get to go back to the archives and really dig through. Like this week, like I'll show you what I did.
Mhm.
So this is Friday's work right here.
Mhm.
I went through like literally these are all DVDs of shows.
Wow.
And so basically all I've done is gone back through shows and basically rip them and then go through them.
Yeah, I saw
and
you started
clean them
playing
up. Yeah.
playing video.
It's nice.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mhm.
So at least I'm like, look, I can't play live for you, but this is what it was like 10 years ago when we did have really good stuff. Because you never know. What if it is like this for a long time?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
all these shows that I've got archived are the only close thing that to a memory that someone's going to have
Mhm.
with that stuff. So I feel like it's my obligation to at least do that because obviously the diehard fans and people who
Yeah.
are missing concerts, they like that.
Hmm.
Imperfections
Have you-
and all, you know.
Have you thought about doing songs on the quarantine, like playing and singing?
I have. I actually
Oh, you have. Okay.
I don't
Like I
do
said, I
it-
haven't watched them
I don't do
all.
it like an entire show. No, I haven't done that
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Mostly because I'm still recuperating.
Yeah.
So, and the other is that this room, it's a wonderful room. It's designed really well acoustically, meaning it's a
Mhm.
great little room. But our intention was never to stay here. We were going to move to a bigger place.
Mhm.
And it was going to be a place where, you know, I could go a little louder. And
Yeah.
I'm being honest, if I turn on the speakers, everyone can hear it. Like all my neighbors can hear
Oh.
everything.
Yeah.
So playing a show with monitors blaring.
Oh,
where
yeah,
I really want to hear it.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Free concert for the neighbors. Yeah.
And what I have done is more of the experimental things. If I'm doing like a lot of weird experimental electronics, I do them in the beginning of each show. I'll start with something like that. Or a couple weeks back on a Wednesday, not related to the normal quarantine, I just turned on the cameras and I said, I'm working today. And if you want to just watch me work, feel free. For an hour, I just worked on material and people watch me put a song together. So it's a different experience than doing a concert per se.
Very cool.
What I'm hoping for is that certain places like where I used to go to rehearse, they're phase 2 to 3. So they could open up before clubs and things like that do.
Right.
Then I could have rehearsal in a room that's really loud and I can turn the cameras on there. And if that happens, then then I will do a concert from the rehearsal hall. So that would be fun.
Cool.
Because then at least I get to rehearse. So, but meanwhile, I mean, experimenting with the gear has been great because there's been a lot of, a lot of people don't realize it, but I am a big tech head. So digging into some of this stuff is something I've been wanting to do in more detail for a while now. So it's one of those things like, okay, what will I tackle today? Oh, let's reprogram this entire machine to do something completely different. And let's see if we can write some code to make this happen and see if this works. And I've gotten more live things done that way. So it's like, wow, so the next live shows are going to be even better because I'll be able to play more stuff at the same time. And so that kind of progress has been great. You know, the one good thing that I would say came out of it for some of the creative people is at least you're getting into all those things you put off, you know, the story you didn't write, the maybe the screenplay that you didn't get to, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Yeah. It's a good time. Take an afternoon off, sit with your notebook with a nice cup of coffee or a shake and start working on your stories or whatever it is.
It's a good reminder for us and for everybody, for all our listeners, to make the most out of it. Sure, you can take the downtime and doing nothing, but you know, use that creative energy and find something creative to do. Find something new to do, possibly.
Yeah. I found that the downtime leads to angry time. Because the downtime, let's be honest, you watch a movie for a little while, then you watch this, that, and the other thing, and next thing you know, you're on the news. And then someone says something you're mad at, you know, and it's such a polarized view of everything. It's so, no pun intended, but everything is just either red or blue or black and white. And there's no middle ground anywhere. And so
it's so tiring. It's very tiring.
You're gonna get mad throughout your day if you watch it. So and I feel that feeling stays with you, and it's not a good feeling.
No.
So my recommendation is to people like, go back to your early days and think, what have I put off that I have, you know, did I want to take up the violin? Now's a good time to watch and learn how to do it. Did I want to write a novel? Now's a good time to dig out that word processor and start. And like, you know, so at least we have that. You know, so
because watching the news turn your brain to much.
Oh my God, it does.
Totally. It's nothing creative or nothing inspiring about that.
Well, let's end on those inspirational words. I appreciate your time, Claude S.
Thank you.
And taking the time. And our listeners have turned on to something new, hopefully, and they can find you in the Quarren streams, right? And
yes.
On Facebook
they could look for Anything Box, of course, and they'll find me.
And
I'm an open book. I'm pretty easy to find.
So on Apple Music, I don't know if Jim mentioned this, on Apple Music, when we call Anything Box up, there's 2 different Anything Boxes. I mean, you're both, but a certain amount of material is on one, and the other, it's got more or less.
The EP and then the one from 97. I can never say the title. Electronic. What's it called?
Electronic.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Those are separate. One has a picture of you. Mistake.
Yeah.
Well, one's a
that's
picture of you. Yeah. And that
the
has
other one's
most of
what?
the albums. And then there's another one.
What's the other picture?
I don't know.
I forget.
Yeah.
I don't have my phone right here. So listeners can go to Apple Music like Jim and I do, and if you don't get what you want on the one anything box, hit the other anything box.
Yeah.
That's weird. I didn't even know we had two up there. That just goes to show you, like.
Yeah.
I wonder.
All right,
whose
we're gonna
turn
play a
that
song. We're gonna play a song on the way out, and Claude, it was great to meet you virtually, and thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you so much, man. And
Yep.
seriously, I mean, it's awesome that we can talk so many years later based on just this one little gig that we've shared, right?
Yeah.
Back in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Synchronicity of events there.
That to me, that is the awesomeness of the technology of our world. It's not
Thank
all
you.
bad, man.
Yeah.
You know, technology is not all bad.
Yeah. All right, well, take care.
So that was a good interview.
Excellent, most excellent to meet Claude and to hear the stories
Oh yeah.
from decades ago and what he's doing right now as well.
Yeah. So up next we have another interview, and this is with Justin Skyyler,
Pennsylvania native and local musician, and he's going to talk a little bit about his most recent song and video.
So here's the interview with Justin. Enjoy.
All right, well, Justin Skyyler, welcome to Jim and Mike Talk. My name's Mike.
And I'm Jim. How you
I'm
doing?
Justin.
Yeah, I'll get your name spelled right here. It's SkYler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. Hey, so, we got your video and music along with it for the song Let Me Help You Out. And we found it intriguing and playful. And what's the story behind that song?
I just started strumming some chords, and most of the time when I write something, I've been doing this lately, like the first line that pops into my head, and I'll just go with that line.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have a few people in, like for that song, I had a few people in mind. It wasn't about someone specifically. It was just, I don't know, just a whim of the moment, what I was feeling with the chords,
Mm-hmm. Justin, I'm hearing it as a real love song, not just like romantic, but I'm hearing it like a true love song, let me fold your laundry, let me walk your dog. And so, it's about service, not just romantic love, but, true love.
Yeah.
And Jim was saying he's got a different take on it.
I think a murder took place.
Murder.
Well, there's a shovel. You're cleaning the floor. What's with the stain on the refrigerator?
No, you got stains on a refrigerator door. It could be a kid, it could be somebody sloppy, but
I think it's like a neighbor who you might have a crush on, and she's killed her husband, or you might have helped her, and because then you're doing the laundry.
Oh,
so you're
that's true. That's
washing clothes. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, he doesn't mention plastic bags or anything. Yeah. So, see, with Jim and I, we agree on a lot of things, but we're kind of the yin and yang. So I take things maybe to a deeper philosophical level, and he takes things dark. But anyway, this is a new song. Is that right?
Well, no. I guess
so, okay.
I
when
wrote
did you write the song?
It was in December.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's still new to me.
Actually, my drummer, we were going to rehearse, and he was on the way there, and I was just I wrote it minutes before he walked in the door, and then we worked it out, and it worked.
Very cool.
Worked good.
So was this while you were working on the other songs for the album, or you had other songs written, and you just decided that this would be the first single?
It always felt like one of the better songs. That was the first song we recorded for the album. It just felt like the single. A lot of the songs in the album are just everywhere, stylistic.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
How many songs on the album?
We got 10.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot. That's great. Yeah. So who else plays with you, Justin? Do you have a whole band, or is it people just backing you up? Or I know Shane is drumming with you.
Yeah. Well, normally I'll write the songs and the lyrics, and then I'll take them to Shane, and then I have a friend Rob who plays bass. Sometimes he does backup vocals. We're not like a band. We were just kind of people who got together and wanted to make recordings.
Right. But you go by your name, so it's Justin Skyyler if anybody wants to look it up. Right. So Justin, you live in the Lehigh Valley, is that right?
No. I'm living
where are you living?
Albrightsville.
By
Jim
PA.
Thorpe. Yes.
By Jim Thorpe. Okay, yeah. Jim Thorpe's a great place. My wife and I go there and hang out, we hike, all that kind of stuff can do there. Yeah, it's really good. So have you been playing out at all, or is it something you're still working towards?
I'm in a cover band, and we also play my songs, like a few of them. As of now, we don't really have anything lined up because most places you're either playing for free right now or for tips, you know.
Yeah.
Or in the parking lot.
Or in the parking lot.
Yeah. Jim and I
have these drive-in concerts.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
You
probably heard about that. No?
Yeah, you play and then the cars pull up and people stay in their cars or on their cars and listen to you.
One is Monmouth Park. They're doing a lot of concerts.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the cars pull in and I guess you can get out of your car, and Grace Potter's doing a couple shows there. Yeah.
So, Justin, what's some of your influences, or if you can't think of that, sometimes that's tough. What have you been listening to in the last half year or year?
I'm very obsessive over things. Like I go on tangents for like 2 weeks. Like I'll just listen to one artist.
Yeah, that's natural. Yeah.
But bands over the years, I kind of listen to a few different stuff. My favorites are Talking Heads. Like anything Jack White did.
Cool.
Like the Raconteurs, his solo stuff.
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age are cool. Radiohead, The Doors, Motown stuff.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, so Doors going way back decades, and then Talking Heads, I was definitely into them in the 80s and love that stuff. Love all the Talking Heads.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us one interesting thing about you that we don't know yet. Just maybe the weirdest thing you've done,
I mean, the video is pretty weird.
Yeah.
I'm a weird.
Gotta say that. Yeah.
I'm a weird individual.
And the video is cool though. Yeah, Sunflower. That.
Yeah.
It gets too large for its pot. And
it
takes off to explore the world.
Right. It's that creativity that goes, beyond musical creativity. That's wouldn't have thought of the Sunflower Head. You see yourself behind us here, right? Where those listeners of the podcast can't see that, but Justin's peeking his head out in the background behind us here. Yeah.
That's
so
great.
So what's some of the content of some topics of some of your other songs? So what do you sing? This is a song about love and helping somebody out. What else might you write about? Maybe one more song.
Well, I made an album in high school with a high school band, and most of that was emotional, sad, angst, high school stuff. But this time, I don't know. I felt like I wanted to. Well, the thing about the Talking Heads that influenced me is that a lot of the music is really danceable, and I kind of discovered how much I like that about music. So this time around, I wanted to do more uplifting, upbeat stuff. So most of it's uplifting. Some of it's stories, just storytelling. It's basically half and half storytelling, uplifting.
Is it different genres or just of music?
Yeah, there's some folksy, then there's blues, and I do some acoustic songs. I do, some heavier, not heavy, but rock stuff. There's one or two of that. It kind of varies.
That sounds good.
Have you heard of the Tom Tom Club?
Yes.
That band. Okay. Because that was Chris France and Tina Weymouth.
Yeah. It's great that you mentioned Talking Heads.
That was more dancey.
Been following David. David Byrne, never afraid to try something new. From the Big Suit back in the 80s, but he's just really always a step ahead of the culture and everything. Gathering people from around the world. I don't know how long ago that was, 10 years ago. The good person to follow in his footsteps.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to share before we tell listeners where they can find your music?
As of September 1st, the album's gonna be out.
Great.
Okay.
Name of the album.
I just decided this morning. I was
Because you
taking
knew we were going to ask.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I was taking too long deciding the name and the cover, so I was just like, I'm just gonna give myself a deadline. So the
Yeah.
name of the album is Village Idiot.
Village Idiot, not
Yeah.
American Idiot. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
not American.
Which is a great album.
So they'll be able to find it on iTunes and
Yeah, September.
Are you
as of
selling-
September 1st?
are you putting out any CDs or is it just going to be all downloads or
I was gonna like make CDs for like friends, family. And
Yeah.
if someone wants one, I'll give them one. But
Yeah.
if
and then
if
next year you think you'll be doing shows to support the album or
I
like,
don't
where
know.
do you usually play?
Well,
Restaurants, anything like that, or
yeah, around Jim Thorpe. Well, before the COVID started,
Yeah.
I'm in a cover band called Mama Stomp and the Flatfoots, which is a
Okay.
great
Mama
name.
Stompin' the Flatfoot. Yeah.
We were starting to play around Jim Thorpe, and then things got canceled.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, my
to
wife
record.
and I
You
were
don't play bars or I mean you're probably too
No,
young to-
I did once or twice so far. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
My wife and I were at Jim Thorpe having lunch there at that place next to the Opera House or whatever that house is called there in the center of Jim Thorpe. I just forgot the name of it, but they've got a lot of regional popular bands and such in there. And yeah, just all those shows were canceled. Yeah, just
Are you talking
Boom,
about
boom, boom.
Broadway Grill?
I'm not sure. It's right in the same building, in the firehouse, right next to that. I just forgot the name of it. All I say is Opera House. I just can't remember the name of that.
Chunk Opera House.
Oh yeah, Macho.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but all the shows there were canceled. All right, it's great having you on. Anything else?
No.
Anything else you got?
Thank you for having
All right.
me.
So check out Village Idiot, right?
Village Idiot.
The album.
Justin Skyyler, that's Skyler, Justin Skyyler. Everyone, thanks for listening. And Justin, thanks for
Thank
being
you,
with us.
Justin.
And we'll check in with you in a few months, see how it's going.
All right, I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Intro and exit music by the band 99%.
Today's show was produced and edited by Jim Thatcher. You can find Jim and Mike Talk on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and their host site, Podbean.
The songs Carmen, 65 Million Miles Away, Lead, Mirabelle, and Emitter, used with permission from Claude S. The intro to Let Me Help You Out, used with permission from Justin Skyyler.